Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to explore the art of Git gardening. We often treat our commit history as a mere byproduct of our work, but in reality, it's a living document that requires intentional care. Just as a garden thrives with regular pruning and weeding, a repository stays healthy when we prioritize clarity and structure. In this session, we'll discuss how to cultivate a clean, linear history, moving away from tangled branches and toward a codebase that is easy to navigate, audit, and maintain. Let's look at the tools and techniques we can use to keep our digital gardens in peak condition.
Does your Git history feel more like a clear roadmap or an unkept garden? We often delay integrating our changes, but that hesitation leads to a tangled mess of merge commits that are difficult to navigate. This creates what we call context debt, the mental exhaustion that occurs when you have to recall your own logic from days ago while simultaneously trying to decipher a teammate's new changes in the same file. When our history becomes this overgrown, we lose the why behind our code, making every future update more difficult and error-prone.
We've all experienced the tangle, that chaotic web of complex merge commits that makes a project's history nearly impossible to navigate. To solve this, we advocate for the concept of Git gardening. The idea is to treat your feature branch as a private garden that requires daily maintenance, rather than waiting for one massive, painful harvest at the end of a sprint. By rebasing early and often, you're essentially practicing continuous integration on a local level. This keeps your work linear and clean, ensuring your code is always compatible with the latest updates from the main branch. Ultimately, the tended row makes for smoother code reviews and a much healthier repository for the entire team. Think of maintaining our codebase like tending a garden. When we practice consistent care, we see three primary benefits. First, we achieve atomic conflict resolution. By integrating our work frequently, we only have to fix small, isolated conflicts from recent commits. It is far easier to pull a single weed today than to clear a week's worth of overgrowth all at once. Next, this discipline results in a clean, linear history. Instead of a tangled web of complex merges, we create a readable narrative of how our features evolved. This makes debugging and onboarding much simpler for everyone on the team. Finally, we ensure always green builds. Constant integration means your changes are always being tested against the most current state of the main branch. This gives us the confidence that our code is stable, compatible, and always ready for production. To understand how we manage code effectively, let's look at the life cycle of a feature branch through the lens of gardening. Just as a disciplined gardener follows a clear process, we can manage our development in 5 distinct phases. It starts with the seed. This is the creation of your branch. It's where you define a clear, single purpose for your feature and set up your initial environment. Next is daily tending. This is the active development phase. It's about making small, frequent commits and regularly pulling in updates from the main branch to ensure your work stays synchronized with the rest of the team. Then we move to pruning. Before a feature is ready for production, it needs refinement. This is the code review and refactoring stage, where we trim away complexity, polish the logic, and ensure the code meets our quality standards. Phase 4 is the harvest. This is the successful merge. Your feature is integrated into the main codebase, and the work you've cultivated is finally ready to deliver value to the user. Finally, we have clearing the plot. A good developer keeps a clean workspace. Once the feature is merged, we delete the branch to prevent clutter and keep the repository ready for the next project. Let's jump into Phase 1, planting the seed. Every new project begins by setting up your local environment. First, we'll clone the repository and navigate into the project directory. From there, we need to create an isolated plot for our new code. You'll notice we're using the modern git switch-c command here. It's much more intuitive than the older git checkout-b command, as it clearly signals that we are both creating and switching to a new feature branch to begin our work. Now we move into Phase 2, the daily tending loop. Think of this as regular maintenance for your code. As you work, the main branch continues to grow with contributions from the rest of your team. This loop is a core gardening habit, where you frequently pull those changes into your feature branch. By doing this daily, you resolve conflicts in small, manageable chunks, rather than dealing with one massive, complex merge at the end of a week's work. The workflow follows 4 simple steps. First, commit your local work so your branch is in a clean state. Next, fetch the latest main from the remote repository to ensure you have everyone else's latest updates. Then, rebase your work on top of that updated main. This effectively picks up your commits and places them at the very tip of the current project history. Finally, if any conflicts occur, you fix them immediately, stage the file, and continue the rebase. By keeping your branch updated this way, you ensure your code always integrates smoothly with the latest version of the project. Once your code is ready, we move to phase 3, pruning. Before sharing your work with the team, it's best practice to use an interactive rebase to clean up your commit history. This turns those messy, work-in-progress commits into a clear, professional narrative. There are 3 main actions you'll use. Squashing allows you to combine small fixes or WIPs into one meaningful commit. Rewording lets you improve your messages for better clarity. And dropping helps you remove any temporary debug code that shouldn't be in the final history. As you can see in the example, we can take a series of fragmented commits and prune them down into a single, well-defined implement user authentication model commit. To start, simply run git rebase-i for the number of commits you want to edit. A quick pro tip: in the interactive editor, just change the word pick to squash for any commit you want to merge into the one before it. We've reached phase 4, the harvest. Your feature branch is now a clean, linear extension of main. Because rebasing rewrites your commit history, you'll need to force push to update the remote repository. However, instead of a standard force push, we always recommend using the -- force with lease flag. This is a vital safety check. It ensures you don't accidentally overwrite any work a teammate might have pushed to the same branch while you were rebasing. Simply run the command shown here to safely sync your rebased work with the remote. Moving into phase 5, we call this clearing the plot. Once your work is safely merged into the main branch, it's important to keep your workspace tidy by removing branches you no longer need. Start by switching back to main and running a git pull to ensure your local environment is up to date with the latest version. Next, you'll delete your local feature branch. Notice we use the lowercase -d flag here. This acts as a safeguard, as Git will only allow the deletion if it confirms the branch has been fully merged. Finally, clean up the remote repository by deleting the branch on the server. Following these steps ensures your project remains organized and ready for the next phase of development. Now let's talk about the golden rule of Git gardening. This is a fundamental principle for maintaining a healthy, collaborative workflow. The rule is simple: never rebase a branch that others are also working on. While rebasing is a great way to keep your personal commit history clean, it works by literally rewriting history. If you rebase a shared branch, your version of history will no longer match your teammates' versions. This creates a divergent history, which inevitably leads to complex, frustrating merge conflicts and broken workflows for everyone involved. The best practice is to keep your gardening restricted to your own local plot. Feel free to rebase your private feature branches to your heart's content, but when it comes to shared public branches, stick to standard mergers to keep the project history stable and predictable for the whole team. As our projects grow, so does our need for better tools. Just as a gardener updates their equipment, Git has evolved to make our workflows more intuitive. For a long time, the checkout command was a bit of a Swiss Army knife that did too many things, which could be confusing and even risky. To clarify our intentions, Git introduced more specialized commands. Now, instead of using checkout for everything, we use git switch specifically for moving between branches. If you need to create a new branch and jump into it immediately, you'll use the -c flag for create. When it comes to files, we use git restore. This replaces the old method of checking out a file to discard local changes, making it much clearer that you are resetting a file to its previous state. Finally, for your daily routine, I recommend adopting Git pull rebase. It's a cleaner way to integrate remote changes while keeping your project history linear and easy to read. By adopting these modern commands, you make your intentions clearer to your team and your entire workflow significantly safer. Think of maintaining a code base like tending a garden. It's not about a single, massive cleanup. It's about a consistent daily rhythm that keeps your environment healthy and productive. This cycle begins with syncing main to ensure you're always starting from the most up-to-date version of the project. As you make progress, you commit your work in small, manageable increments. To keep your history clean and avoid integration headaches later, you regularly rebase your feature branch against those latest changes. Before sharing your work, you test locally to catch issues early and maintain high quality. Finally, you push when ready, feeding your contributions back into the main ecosystem. By following this continuous loop, we maintain high development velocity and ensure our codebase stays robust and sustainable for the long term. As you go forth to cultivate your craft, remember that small habits make a big impact. By rebasing early and often, you ensure your feature branch is always living in the future, integrating the latest changes from the main codebase as they happen. This isn't just a technical preference, it's the hallmark of a disciplined, professional developer. It shows you value seamless collaboration and long-term code quality by heading off complex merge conflicts before they start. Keep your branches clean, stay ahead of the curve, and take pride in the discipline you bring to your work. To wrap things up, I'd like to open the floor to any questions you may have. For those of you who want to dive deeper into these concepts, I've listed 2 essential resources here: the official Git documentation for a technical deep dive, and the Atlassian Guide, which provides excellent visual walkthroughs of the rebasing process. I've also included 2 helpful aliases to streamline your workflow. The first configuration ensures that your Git pulls always use rebase by default to keep your project history clean. The second is a handy shortcut for pruning stale remote tracking branches, which is great for regular repository maintenance. If you have any follow-up questions later or would like to connect, please feel free to reach out via the email or social handle listed on the screen. Thank you for your time.